There's a couple houses there, but it's
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
So, thank you. Someone over
Good.
Yeah.
they agreed to do it.
How you feeling? How you been feeling? Pretty good?
It got a hell of a
Yeah.
scar, but
Right.
it's been great.
Good. Good. Well, that's more important, right?
The worst thing about it is the mics are live. You know, there's a lot of discomfort,
Yeah.
and then it took a while to heal.
Yeah.
A week after it healed, I got pneumonia.
Oh, man.
That was
Right. Well, yeah, particularly with that kind of coughing or having that throat.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad you're doing better. Yeah. Keep up. Keep at it.
Thank you. You guys ready? We ready?
Yep.
All right, welcome. Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for September 6, 2023. We'll take a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Cernova,
Here.
Mr. Reichel, Mr. Souls,
Here.
Mr. Beck,
Here.
Mr. Sutton,
Here.
Mr. Puselides.
Here. My name is Demetrius Puslis. I'm chairman of this committee. I'll introduce the members. To my immediate right is Jeff Sutton, our vice chairman. To his immediate right is Robert Souls. To his immediate right is Tia Cernova. To my immediate left is Richard Beck, secretary. And then to his immediate left is Thomas Farrer, the zoning director. Unless someone has any changes to the agenda will stand. There's a statement of duties out back, the back of the room if you want to read them. We have minutes of our August 2nd, 2023 meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve the same.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Cernova,
Abstain.
Mr. Souls,
Yes.
Mr. Beck,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton,
Yes.
and Mr. Puselides.
Yes. There being no unfinished business, we have new business today. We have 3 appeals. The first one is 1380-23, applicant owner Gemini Solar LLC, 2484 Creekway Drive, Columbus, Ohio, 43207. Amanda Guy, 1427 32nd Street, Northeast Canton, Ohio, 44714. Applicant requests a conditional use permit to place an accessory solar system on the roof of the residence on the property located at 1427 32nd Street, Northeast Canton, Ohio, 44714, parcel number 5203176, pursuant to section 702.2B10, conditionally permitted uses of our zoning code as a conditionally permitted use and accessory solar energy system in any zoning district requires the Board of Zoning Appeals approval. The property is zoned R1 Single Family Residential District and is located in the southwest quarter of Section 27. Is there anyone that here to speak in favor of this appeal?
I'm Amanda Guy.
Come on up. I'm going to first swear you in. You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please,
My name is Amanda Guy,
and your address.
1427 32nd Street, Northeast.
Go ahead.
Okay. Would,
You're presenting the appeal.
I live at the address. So we were just requesting solar panels were added onto our home.
And you submitted the packet of information.
Gemini Solar submitted it on behalf of us, so
Anything further?
I don't.
Okay. Anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal? Anyone to speak against this appeal? Okay, questions from the board?
No questions.
All right, I'll make the motion, appeal number 1380-23, applicant owner Gemini Solar LLC 2484. Oh, before I start, I say that just for the record, Plain Township Fire Department has no recommendations or suggestions regarding this appeal. I'll make a motion on appeal number 1380-23, applicant owner Gemini Solar LLC 2484 Creekway Drive, Columbus, Ohio 43207, Amanda Guy, 1427 32nd Street, Northeast Canton, Ohio 44714. Applicant requests a conditional use permit to place an accessory solar system on the roof of the residence on the property located at 1427 32nd Street, Northeast Canton, Ohio 44714. Parcel number 5203176, section 702.2B10, conditionally permitted uses of our zoning code as a conditionally permitted use and accessory solar energy system in any zoning district requires the Board of Zoning Appeals approval. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals to grant this request. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just say for purposes of the record, the documentation that was submitted on behalf of Ms. Guy seemed to demonstrate and meet all of the necessary conditions for a conditionally permitted use for the solar panel. So I would be in favor of this appeal.
Thank you, Bob. Any further discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call vote.
Ms. Cernova,
Yes.
Mr. Souls,
Yes.
Mr. Beck,
Yes.
Mr. Sutton,
Yes.
and Mr. Pucilides.
Yes, congratulations. Thank you for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next appeal is 1381-23, applicant owner Premier Investors LLC, 2555 34th Street, Northeast Canton, Ohio, 44705. Applicant requests a variance to allow a mini storage facility on parcel 100144091, which is zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential district. The property is zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential district, and is located in the northeast quarter of section 01. For the record, the fire department has sent in a correspondence, and they have no recommendations or suggestions regarding this appeal. Do we have anyone to speak in favor of this appeal? Are you legal counsel? Or?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm going to raise your right hand. I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Can you state your name for the record?
Harrison Zolden.
Yes. Hi. I just recognize you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, sir?
Great, great. Go ahead. And your address?
2555 34th Street, Northeast Canton, Ohio, 44705.
Go ahead.
My name is Harrison Zolden, and I am one of the managers of Premier Investors LLC, the applicant. And we purchased this property. It's made up of 2 parcels, one which is situated in Jackson Township and zoned for our proposed use, and one which is situated in Plain Township and currently zoned R1. And we are seeking an appeal to allow a variance for mini storage. Happy to give more details or answer any specific questions about our plans. One thing I would like to highlight is prior to purchasing this property, we worked with the seller as well as the seller's neighbors to put a 50-foot buffer zone in between our property and the neighboring properties, and completed the replat, which I have a copy of here and happy to share with you folks, prior to closing on the property. So we do already have a 50-foot buffer in between our planned development and the neighboring residential properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal? Anyone to speak against this appeal? Okay, please come on up.
I guess I just have a lot of questions.
Right. We'll first swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
And you say your name for the record and your address.
It's Jean Variola, Variola, 3910 Cranwood Street, North Canton.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've been here before when they were putting in the redwood stuff. So that was a fiasco in that. And overall, they did pretty good with what they promised, but there's still some things lacking, like buffering and trees and what have you. But I guess, you know, you're saying you're going to put up storage units. I mean, do you even have pictures of them, what they're going to look like? You know, I just have other questions. Is it going to be like a gated storage unit? Because sometimes people have gated ones where they have a card, so it's kind of controlled who goes in and what have you. So is it a controlled one, or just one that's open that people can drive around, whatever? And
Well, any other, usually at this point, it's, you can make a statement or explain why you're against it.
okay, I guess.
And I also, I'm writing down your questions.
Okay, well,
You can
I have
ask them
some,
too,
so.
but go ahead.
Anyhow, my property borders it. I'm a residential. I'm on the up part of the hill, so I'm looking down on all this. So, you know, you talk about, you know, there's a 50-foot buffer. So when you're talking about a buffer, you know, is it going to be decent enough where I'm not going to see all those units, or, you know, or what? I don't know. I'm just trying to, I guess I'm just concerned with it being there. I'm worried about, okay, it's not a gated community. There could be, you know, increased crime, people breaking into those. You know, I'm concerned about some of the tenants. You know, say they go to move out, they don't want to take something with them, they trash it, you know, do they throw it over in my yard? So there's, you know, and I guess I don't know how many storage units there's going to be, the number of them. You know, again, is it going to be built on both parcels, or is it going to be built just on the one in between, the one, you know, between me and then Pittsburgh?
All right. Any other?
No, I guess those are some of the big concerns that I have. Just the.
If you think of more, I promise you'll be.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else that wants to speak against the appeal? Okay. Well, I'll have Mr. Zolden come back up, because I'm sure we'll have some questions, and we'll start off with some of the questions that Jean had. So is this going to be fenced in? Is the storage facilities going to be fenced in at all?
It's a bit preliminary to give too many specifics about the design and final layout, but the planned development would include a perimeter fence, both to protect the contents inside the storage facility as well as to keep unwanted or unnecessary guests out.
And then as far as there are two parcels. There's the what I would call closer to the street parcel, and then the one that's further back. Where is the storage facility going? Is it going to be placed on both parcels? Or?
Yes, our proposed plan encompasses both parcels.
There's nothing else that's going to go in those parcels other than this mini storage facility.
That's correct. The plan as it stands, which I believe everyone has a copy of.
Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you. The map as it stands.
No problem. I have a large copy of our plan. I'd be happy to show it. I believe one was also included with our appeal. But the site plan currently includes the structures themselves, a retainage pond, and parking.
What was the third thing you said?
Parking.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear you.
No problem.
And can you describe, and I think the zoning director mentioned that if we pass this, that there should be a substantial tree and shrub buffer placed on the perimeter of the property. And you mentioned a 50-foot setback with that. What kind of trees or shrubs are you talking about? Is it going to be substantial enough that it will block the view, so to speak?
Sure. The 50-foot buffer was a piece of property originally a part of the parcel in question that prior to us purchasing the property, we worked with the seller to replat and include an additional 50 feet as a part of the seller's property to further buffer future development on ours from the neighboring residential properties. I do believe there is a natural barrier there now, and the specifics of what future barriers or buffers will be included, I don't have at this time.
Okay, any other?
Yeah, I do have some questions. Obviously, it's not zoned for mini storage units. I believe the proper zonage would be what zone?
B2.
B2?
That's conditionally approved.
Right. So, so I got a couple questions in that regard. Why didn't you seek any rezone of the property versus coming to the board to seek a variance, which requires you to get and demonstrate to us unnecessary hardship, which I kind of want to hear why you would have an unnecessary hardship on this property to develop it as an R2.
Sure. Well, we wanted to be able to share specifically the use we are seeking for this site as opposed to a rezone that would allow a variety of uses. And so to answer your question why we wanted to get a variance as opposed to rezone, we wanted to be able to share clearly what our plans were for the site and be able to share with the neighbors what our plans were as opposed to just a general rezone. With our front property that has frontage on Pittsburgh Road being zoned for mini storage, which we believe to be the highest and best use, and this property being located behind it, we need to get the zoning or a variance to allow the same use on the rear property to match our front property so they can both be developed together to the highest and best use.
Okay, so what's the unnecessary hardship for the property or to you? As to why
Sure.
you can't use it for R2 purposes?
We just believe that mini storage is the best use for that property based on demand, construction cost, and what we believe is the best use for that property.
And when you acquired the property, when did you purchase it?
We purchased it in 2020.
And with knowledge of what the zoning was?
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Any other questions for Mr. Zoltan? Thank you. Jean, do you have any further?
Yeah, well, I guess I wasn't able to come in and see the actual drawings in that. Do you have those available that I could look at? And, I don't know how many units you're proposing to put on there, and other things.
Go ahead.
I'd be happy to share the site plan with you. I also would like to say that our company's based here in Canton, Ohio, and has been around for over 65 years. And Ms. Variola, we pride ourselves on building the highest quality developments that we will own and manage long-term and hope to be the best possible neighbors and allow our development to be an asset to the community and not a burden to you or your neighbors.
Where do you have some that are already built?
Here in Plain Township, we own and develop the Chipotle and Pulp at the corner of Market and Easton here.
There's storage facilities there?
No, ma'am.
Do you have other storage facilities in Stark County, or is this your first endeavor at putting in storage units?
This would be our first storage unit development in Stark County. We do have a partner in this project who is a very reputable self-storage developer and manager.
How big are each of the storage units, or how many do you plan on having? I guess I'm just curious about that. Like how many units?
Right now, the buildings are just laid out by square footage, and I'd be happy to share the site plan with you that details that. The exact breakup of units and their sizes, I don't have available yet.
Some of this stuff would just be nice to know that if you're trying to sell your, what you want to do, it'd be nice if you would have had some other things available to try and sell it to me, But right now, again, I'm just concerned with, like I said, if it's an open facility that there's going to be thefts, there's going to be trash thrown. I mean, it happens. Is there certain hours of operation that's going to take place? Is it going to be people can access it 24 hours a day? So people are being loud or whatever. I guess the big concern was the distance from my property line, but you said you plan on keeping there's some mature trees there. But I don't know, but that's what he said, 50 feet back, that you would do that, or you don't know what else you're gonna put in there to kind of really hide it?
Sure, and I appreciate those concerns. I'll just emphasize that our plan is to develop the highest quality property and maintain it in a first-class manner as long into the future, as long as we own the property, and we are long-term owners and managers.
Well, let me ask you this. The two parcels that are there, the one in the front is in Jackson Township.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that is zoned for what you're trying to do.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to put your storage facility just on that parcel?
The development on a parcel that size, which is about half of the total acreage, is not feasible.
Would you be able to do it?
When you say able,
Well, let's say we deny the request. Are you going to put the storage facility just on the Jackson Township parcel?
that is a possible scenario.
What would happen to the Plain Township portion of the parcel? It would just sit there?
Possibly sit undeveloped until a better use could be found.
What kind of use? If you put a mini storage on the front parcel, what are you going to put in the back parcel?
Well, right now it's zoned for residential, so that would be our option unless.
You could put apartments there or houses or?
Yeah, I believe it's zoned for single or up to 4 family dwellings.
All right.
So did you plat this as being one parcel?
It's, the Jackson Township parcel is one parcel, and would we replat it all into one parcel?
Yeah.
I don't have the answer to that, being in
But
two.
the Plain Township parcel, for lack of a better word, in the back is landlocked, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that also is a problem, I guess, from that standpoint in terms of providing access back to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else would like to speak on this? I'll make a motion on appeal 1381-23, applicant owner Premier Investors LLC, 2555 34th Street Northeast, Canton, Ohio, 44705. Applicant requests a variance to allow a mini storage facility on parcel 100144091, which is zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential district. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Zoning Appeals to grant the request.
Second.
Discussion. No discussion. Let's have a roll call vote.
Ms. Cernova,
No.
Mr. Souls,
Yes.
Mr. Beck,
No.
Mr. Sutton,
Yes.
and Mr. Pusilides.
Yes. Okay, congratulations.
Thank you all.
All right, we're going to go on to Appeal 1379-23. Applicant and owner John S. Kuhn, 1768 Mount Pleasant Street, Canton, Ohio, 44720, parcel number 100169225. Request the following: subdivide the property located at the above address. The property currently contains a home and a large horse barn. The results of the subdivision would leave one parcel with 76 foot of frontage and the other parcel with 92.11 feet frontage, when the zoning regulations call for 100-foot frontage on both parcels, which would violate the zoning resolution in the following manner. Article 7, Section 701.3, minimum lot and yard requirements. In a rural residential district, the lot frontage is 100 feet. 24-foot frontage variance proposed, 100-foot required, 76-foot requested, and 7.89-foot frontage variance proposed, 100-foot required, 92.11 feet requested. The property is zoned RR, Rural Residential District, and is located in the northwest quarter of Section 4. And The fire department has sent a correspondence, and they have no recommendations or suggestions regarding this appeal. And I assume this means you're here to speak in favor of this appeal.
I am the appellant, if you will, here.
Okay.
And
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Please state your name and your address.
John S. Kuhn, 1768 Mount Pleasant, Northwest, North Canton, Ohio, 44720.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
I guess first of all, I'll inform the panel here that I've been the owner and and the resident occupant at this location, which includes a house and a horse barn. Well, a barn with 22 stalls, and I acquired that in 1998. The previous owners of the property were also owner-operators of a horse stables at that facility, and I'm told the prior owners to that owner was also the operator of this horse stables, if you will. I've owned and operated that for 25 years, and quite frankly, after having some difficulty keeping up with the chores out there, contracted, doctors diagnosed me with paroxysmal vertigo, which basically means, according to his recommendations, you got to cut out the heavier work or the heavier workload. Your stability is not going to allow you to continue with this, and that's the hardship that I'm experiencing right now. Is that I can no longer operate and shovel the biscuits, if you will, every day, and I've had I've had a lot of orders over the years, but. One in particular there is the board of the proposed purchaser who had offered to purchase the barn and a little over 10 acres, which would leave me or allow me to stay or maintain my residence there on the property, the house in a little over 3 acres. There's currently a 20-foot driveway that has been there forever into my property, and if I've provided copies of the proposed survey here by Hammondtree, and the pins on the entranceway, the drive to the property, show that the current drive is pretty much in line with the easternmost property pin, and from that point it extends over approximately 168 feet. What I'm using and operating now, and what has been the driveway situation there, is less than 25 feet. If I can refer you there, I took some photos here maybe to try to help you guys focus, and lady, I'm sorry, try to get you to focus in on this here. The number 1 photo there shows the existing driveway there on the right side of the photo, and on the left side you'll see some piles of dirt that are proposed there to broaden or extend that driveway an additional 20 to 25 feet. The second photo, I guess we just got a picture of an automobile there going up the drive of the property there. And as I say, the posts on each side of that driveway are approximately 20 foot apart. So the new requested, or the variance that I'm requesting there would allow the potential purchaser here to extend or make his driveway pretty close to the same width. He's got about 90 plus feet of ground or land to work with there. And photograph number 3 is a picture of some of this dirt that's piled up there that you see in photograph number 2. There's just a little bit closer picture there of the of where the drive would be going up. You can see some visqueen posts and so forth that are blocking off the west side of the property, or the prospective driveway, if you will. It wouldn't even go out to that visqueen portion of the photograph here. Just to the left of that visqueen there, you can see what appears to be a dark spot. The photos didn't come out all that greatly there to show where there's a runoff drain that extends down across the western part of that drive, if you will. Photograph number 4 there, I guess, is a little bit closer, a little bit clearer there. Shows where that drainage pipe it's a runoff there. There's no active water or stream or springs or anything that contribute to that drain-off system. But the new drive, proposed drive itself, would be anywhere from 10 to 15 feet east of where that drainage ditch runs through there. That drainage ditch has been there ever since I've owned the property, and presumably prior to that, but would not be affected whatsoever if this additional driveway was installed or allowed to continue to be built. Photograph number 5 shows the current drive basically going up to the barn. The front end of the barn is out of the photograph view there, off to the left side. That drive there goes up to my house and up to the front of the barn. The proposed or potential buyers here would extend their driveway be on the west side of the barn, or on the right side of this photograph number 5, for their entranceway to be on the opposite end of the barn. So their 10+ acres is all on the top portion of that photograph. It's actually, direction-wise, it's to the south of this driveway of mine, but the drive that you're seeing here, and it's just a gravel driveway that goes on up to my house, and the new proposed driveway would continue straight on across, heading up towards the top of the photograph, where there'd be the entranceway for the new potential buyers of the property. And really, there's nothing at all that's going to change the activity. Somehow there's been a nasty rumor that was circulated that we're planning on building a party barn or a party facility out there on the property. I don't know where that came from, but the activity that will continue out there is strictly limited to horseback riding, horse lessons, and providing the same type of activity that has been existing for 25+ years. The current proposed buyer has been in the horse business for, oh God, I don't know, I think 10, 15, 20 years.
She was a baby.
She's no longer a baby. How old?
26.
26 years old. And there's no interest there in creating anything more or in addition to what's been the activity going on there for all these years. And I can't stress that enough there, hopefully maybe to the comfort of the neighbors there, that nothing's really going to change, perhaps unless this variance can't be approved. I guess my only other option would be to sell the whole property, which I don't want to do. I'm quite comfortable in my house where I've been for 25 years. And it might end up in the hands of a developer or contractor there that might want to develop the I've actually had offers in that regard to develop the property into a housing type allotment, if you will. I don't want that. I want to continue to stay there and have the privacy. I'd much rather see horses in my front yard than houses. And that would be the same situation there with the neighbors of the property. I'm going 72 years old, and I'm out of the party stages there, and I don't want the noise and the commotion either there. So that statement there is only related or meant for the comfort of the neighbors there. That could be assured there that nothing's going to change from what the activity has been there for the past 25 years that I've been there, and even prior to that. I don't know. I guess I'd just open it up to the board's questioning there if you have any other additional questions.
Well, we'll let other people speak, and then we'll come back with questions.
All right, fine.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of this appeal? Okay. Who, you guys can decide who comes up first. Have you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
My name is Amanda Schaefer. I am not from Plain Township, but I am representing the buyers of the property, and I live at 2932 Killian Road in Uniontown.
Okay, go ahead.
I represent the buyers. I'm with a real estate agent that has been in the business for 5 years. The buyers of the property, she's actually my horse trainer. She's had to relocate from another horse property. She's been my horse trainer for years. And I'm also very familiar with Sadie Hollow Stables, as I rented it for years because I'm a horse person too, and boarded there as a kid. And Shannon, the buyer, is making absolutely no changes, but just beautiful improvements to the property by cleaning it up, adding more pasture, and it will honestly be in better condition than it previously was. She will be keeping it going in the same manner as it always has been, and like I said, more pasture will be provided. So we're really hoping that you'll rule in favor so she can have her horse farm there.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, sir. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
And state your name and address for the record.
Jared Emmerich, 7854 Button Shoe, Northwest, North Canton, 44720.
Go ahead, sir.
So my property touches the horse barn, and I can attest to what the last two people just said. Is they're great people, they're great neighbors. They're doing a lot of improvements. It's in much better condition than we've ever seen it, my wife and I, and we've been there 4 years. Just the amount of work they've done and improvement is pretty incredible. There's a temporary solution right now to get the horses to the barn because the trailer is unable to get through and up the driveway, hence the appeal here too for the wider area for them, is to back the trailer up into the cul-de-sac that I live on, and the horses walk through my yard up to the barn. And they have plans to put a nice fence and things up. For now it's not up, but so that works, right? Obviously that won't work once the fence is up, and I don't think they want a gate that swings open into our property. But with that being said, that's why I'm in favor of it, because they've made a lot of improvements, and I see it continuing that way.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak in favor of the appeal? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Shannon Fisher. I actually live in Canal Fulton, but we are working to purchase the horse barn, 620 High Street Northeast, Canal Fulton, Ohio, 44614.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to let the board know that I have had a horse training and lesson program since I was 19 years old. I have bounced from barn to barn before, not being able to purchase anything because I was in college and working to build the business. And now we have the opportunity to purchase a home for these clients that have followed me blindlessly, aimlessly for 7 years now. I'd really like to give them a place to keep their horses and not have to worry about the next place. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor of the appeal? Anyone to speak against the appeal? Okay. Whoever wants to come on up first, we'll take you one at a time. And do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, sir.
Your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Jennifer Linville. My address is 1811 Mount Pleasant Street, North Canton, Ohio 44720.
And how do you spell your last name?
Linville, L-I-N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, I-L-L-E.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I'm actually not in favor of this. I just had a couple clarification questions. I actually think it is a great idea to improve that driveway because there's always cars that get stuck in the winter. Always get. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that my husband and I have gone over and helped cars get out. So I think that's great. I want horses to be there, so I would love for them to purchase this. I just have my only question is just how far, because I haven't seen the plans, which here they are. I just want to know how far the new driveway will go, and will the new driveway be next to the existing, or will it replace the existing? And then my only other question, or I guess two other questions, what are the plans for drainage? The drainage that's under there, under the street, is very undersized, according to the Lake Township zoning department. I had them out. It is super undersized, and so I'm just concerned if we're adding a bunch of asphalt, if we're going to get water backing up there. So I would like to know about what the plans are for the drainage, and then just depending on how wide the driveway will be. I really love how quiet our neighborhood is, and I'm not suggesting that it will be more busy because of the horses, but depending on how wide it is, if you have a big trailer, I imagine you would have to pull out and then go down Pheasant and then turn around, Humbert or Strawberry, and then come up Stonebridge. And I'm just a little concerned about having an increase of trucks, or we've had, people pull their horse trailers there and then let their horses out on Pheasant, and then there's just poop everywhere, which is not a huge deal. I don't really care. It's just, honestly, my sons ride back there all of the time, and I just want to make sure that, we're not going to have a ton of extra trucks going down Pheasant. Otherwise, I really hope you do buy it. I really hope that horses stay there. I really would love to see that driveway improved and to see it be just more beautiful. So yeah, I just would like those three questions addressed.
Okay, thank you. And I think it'll be better, who wants to answer those questions on behalf of the?
I can express what.
The reason I want to do this is because the questions are fresh in our mind, so we can go ahead. Mr. Kuhn, go ahead and.
All right.
And I'll direct that. How far will the new driveway go?
The current drive there, as I explained just earlier, there is 20 foot, about 20 foot wide. The proposed additional drive in there would be an extension of another 20 to 25 feet of that driveway, which would give us somewhere around a 40, 45 foot entranceway. If, in effect, if this is approved and we can accomplish that as the buyers want to, a 40 to 45 foot opening there is plenty wide there to put in about the biggest horse trailer you can imagine. In fact, I don't know. I don't think there's any other trucks or vehicles that couldn't make a turn out of let's say a 45-foot driveway. But it would be it'd be an extension of the current driveway to the west of an additional 20 to 25 feet, and that would still leave an additional 10 to 15 feet of that drainage ditch that is on the would be on the west side of the driveway.
How about in regards to drainage? She raised, Ms. Linville raised the drainage.
Well, quite frankly, the drainage, what do we call it? Drainage creek or drainage ditch, whatever. It's in need of clearing out right now. The township was through there. It's every time I say something was 5 years ago, it's more like 15 or more years ago. But they come through there periodically there and scoop out the growth, the branches, limbs, and muck, if you will, out of that drainage ditch that currently needs to be done again in order to get a better flow of water or drain off coming through there. But like I say, the drive would be plenty of distance to the east there, where it wouldn't interfere with any of the cleaning out or maintaining of that drainage ditch.
Can I ask a question in regards to the drainage? Do you plan to put like a culvert under? I assume because it's so steep, you're going to have to put dirt or something to make that angle easier for large horse trailers. Will you put some kind of pipe under there and then have that go to?
There currently is. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, please.
There currently is a culvert at the base of the driveway.
Okay.
Because there's drainage that comes in from the east side of the property as well as the west side. But on the east side of the property, there's a. Don, you've seen that.
I can answer the drainage question.
Well, I'm not. We're going to hold on. Do you have any other questions, Ms. Linville?
So I guess, do you anticipate when you add the extra 20 feet, so that'll be pretty close to the edge of Pheasant, do you guys anticipate when trailers come up, they will go down Pheasant, turn around on Humber, and then rather than trying to make that tight turn, I just, like, personally, like, if I didn't know the neighborhood and if I was pulling a trailer, I would probably go through the neighborhood to make easier turns for myself. And I would just like to avoid that if possible.
Well, right now, you're absolutely right there. If you've got a real long trailer there, you can't make the turn because, I guess, in between those, they're actually cut off telephone posts that are mounted in the ground right now. And you can't make a turn with a real long trailer getting in between those telephone posts.
Yeah.
And again, well, you've seen it. Yeah, you know what's sticking in the ground.
Yeah.
So if those are extended out another 20, 25 foot, we could pull an 18-wheeler.
Okay, and then you wouldn't need to go through the neighborhood?
No, they wouldn't need to go
great.
through. I think that's the game plan.
Yeah, nobody wants to go through the neighborhood.
Good.
All right, thank you. Anyone else to speak against the appeal? Okay, come on up. Raise your hand, please. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Can you state your name and address for the record?
Sure. Nikki Reed, 1760 Mount Pleasant Street, Northwest, North Canton, Ohio, 44720.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So, my husband and I live in the property immediately in front of Mr. Coons, and I've known Mr. Coon for years. We get along just fine. I have had significant concerns about this plan, and when I say plan, this plan has already been put into action. There has been significant construction, significant cement pouring, significant fires burning, and amongst other things that have gone on, and also noise into like past 9 o'clock at night on some occasions, one of which is probably not really important at this point in time. I don't believe that it's true that, I'm sorry, I missed her last name, Ms. Rowe, I believe, is the only purchaser of this property. And in fact, Ms. Fisher, I apologize. My understanding is that Ms. Fisher works for a company called the Jumper Ring. They also have a location in Florida. And essentially they, if you look at their website for the jumper ring, they have already modified that their new location is Mr. Kuhn's address. In addition to boarding horses, they offer riding lessons, and they also have competitions, is my understanding from just looking at their website. I believe that the traffic in this area is going to increase substantially. As I stated earlier, the noise already has. I know we got the notice from the BZA stating that only one portion of the zoning ordinances is going, that they're requesting a variance on. But I think we're overlooking the purpose of the rural residential zoning, and that is to provide for low-density, single-family uses within a rural atmosphere. This would no longer be a single-family use area. This would be essentially a home and then a separate business. And while I appreciate that Ms. Fisher and I believe the Rings want to operate their business out of there, they don't have to live there and hear their business being operated. They get to go home to Canal Fulton and to wherever else they live in order after they're done with work for the day. I know that you guys look at the Duncan factors when we are talking about the variances, and if I can briefly go over those, because I think that when we look at all of these factors, and when we look at weighing the competing interests of the property owner and the community, this is not inequitable to Mr. Kuhn at this point in time. Mr. Kuhn has lived there, as he stated, since 1998, and he is an attorney, so I am assuming that he knew at the time that he purchased this house what the zoning ordinances were. And, that he was buying this property without this variance. I believe that this variance is substantial, not just because of the frontage, but because there's essentially a business going in, and this would no longer be a single-family home. I do believe that the most important factor is that the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered. Again, there would be a business going in. There would be significantly more traffic. And I live right on Mount Pleasant, and also this driveway butts up right against my property on the east side. So I think that we would hear this noise all the time, as I know a couple of my neighbors would as well. Additionally, I don't know about the governmental services. I'm unaware. I know that there is a drainage ditch over there. I know that one of my other neighbors has an easement onto that drainage ditch for her septic system, I believe. And then I also believe that there are utility easements in this area. I know that there is a huge pole for electrical services. There's also like a guardrail there where Pheasant ends and butts into the driveway area. So I honestly don't understand how the driveway could be made much bigger than it already is, because it would go over to those areas. I think I already addressed that Mr. Kuhn must have known that, there was a zoning restriction in place at the time. Regarding number 6, I understand that he is having medical issues and that he can no longer operate his boarding service, but that could be obviated by him hiring a barn manager at this point in time without having the zoning variance granted. And then, again, I believe that the intent behind the zoning law is to make this a neighborhood. It is not a business area. And essentially, at this point in time, if this were granted, it would make it a business area. And I think that that is not just a variance at this point. Thank you.
Anyone that wants to speak against this appeal? Hello. Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
You can state your name and address.
Mary Mitchell Bodo, 1786 Mount Pleasant Street Northwest, North Canton, Ohio.
Ma'am.
Yes, she can't hear on someone's phone. Go ahead, say your name and address again just for the
Mary Mitchell Bodo, 1786 Mount Pleasant Street Northwest, North Canton, Ohio, 44720.
Thank you.
Okay. I live on the east side of the driveway. My property butts right up against Jack's, and then Nikki's butts up against mine. I have lived there for 30 years. I maintain my property very well. Most of the time, we'd have to go over and mow his area because it's not been maintained. The barn has never been maintained. The place is shambles. At any rate, the area that he's talking about bringing the driveway out to is the Muskingum Waterway shed. So it's very important that that is not messed with. And like she said, the tunnel that goes under Mount Pleasant is significantly smaller than what it should be. And our area on the east side of the driveway floods periodically, especially in the winter and spring. We'll have water sitting down there, quite a bit of water. And we too have had problems with people getting stuck in the driveway, and they were pulling into our yard and turning around, trying to get out and stuff like that. So we put up a split rail fence to try to keep people from driving onto our property. There is a guardrail that runs along where those telephone poles are shoved down into the ground. It wraps around right there, and there's also a huge utility line. So all of this has to also be moved. And we're just concerned as a neighbor that I own a horse. And I used to have a horse at Jack's Barn several years ago. At that time, it was like a boarding facility. It was pretty quiet. It didn't bother me much, but what's bothering me is a business going in there. It's going to totally be different because of the amount of people that are going to be coming in and out. We're talking a lot of trailers. People that boarded there necessarily didn't have trailers. They would bring their horses. A lot of the people don't. I don't even own a trailer for my horse. You find people that will bring your horses. So when they compete like this, they have large trailers. They travel. They move around. Sometimes they have competitions. The barn that they just left used to be owned by Kathy Witters, and the jumping ring moved in. I knew Sarah Ring very well. We worked together. She was a hairdresser. So I know for a fact that they had outdoor arenas and that they had competitions there, showing competitions. They bring people in from all over to do these competitions. So as far as just a facility that kids come to ride and do lessons, I don't have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with a business going into a residential area because it's going to change what I've lived in for 30 years. I like the quiet. They've already torn down huge amounts of trees. There's huge piles of dirt. For them to say that they don't own it yet, I don't know what's going on, because if you don't own something, you don't put that kind of time and money into tearing up a piece of property that you don't own yet. So, and they've been burning stuff, and there are laws for Plain Township about burning. So I don't know. We've had trucks going in and out of there. They're loud. They're diesel. They zoom up the driveway, gunning their trucks, and it's been very noisy since they've been back there. And I guess that's all I've got to say. I'm concerned about the flooding for sure.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak against this appeal? Do you swear or affirm that the information you're about to present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Can you state your name and address for the
Carol
record?
Sutek. I live at 1806 Mount Pleasant Street, Northwest, North Canton, Ohio. directly to the west of the property that Jack's talking about. I've lived there for 57 years before there was the last people or before the people that actually bought it when it was still farmed. What concerns me about it, and Jack, I don't think I've ever met you in 30 years.
I don't think so either.
So, but that piece of property actually is where the drainage, it's not just insignificant, it is part of the Muskingum watershed. And we, because when it gets wet, it floods into our yard. And we have part of the yard that's never dry. And we did talk to the Stark Soil and Water about coming out and dredging that little creek again. It's probably been 30 years since they did it. They said that creek actually falls under the Muskingum watershed and the Corps of Engineers. And I don't know if anybody has talked to them about that ever. It's wet enough that the property between us and Jack's driveway has not been able to be mowed, and it's been at least 4 or 5 years that it's never been mowed in a whole summer. And the last time it was mowed, I think like 2 or 3 times it was tried, and they had to come and pull the mowers out because they got bogged down in the wet. So to have something change and make even less drainage is a concern of ours. If they're putting another driveway in, there's a wooded area. There's a lot of wildlife in there. We have deer. We have tons of birds. I mean, our backyard is like a bird sanctuary. And right now, the way it sits, we have complete quiet and privacy. And I think if they're going to take those trees out or do something to put another driveway, it's going to expose our yard, our area, and it's going to destroy the peace and quiet that we now have. We're the ones that do have a sewer easement. We had from our leach lines. We have a whole backyard full of leach lines, and when the last owner was there and they redid our leach lines, we got an easement, and I don't know how that, if it even would affect it or not, but we're the ones she was mentioning. So, and that's my comment.
All right, thank you. Anyone else to speak against the appeal? Okay, come on up. Do you swear or affirm that the information about the present is true and accurate to the best of your knowledge or belief?
Yes, sir.
And can you state your name and address for the record?
Teresa Toxie, Toxie, 7970 Button Shoe Avenue, North Canton, 44720.
Thank you.
I have more questions, actually. I do want to confirm the fact that creek, that water source is so, it floods in our backyard. We live directly behind. Oh my gosh, I forgot your last name. Sutek. So we've been there going on 13 years now. And our biggest concern is what she just mentioned, the privacy, the quietness, what drew me to this allotment, or to this area, this dead-end street that we chose to live and hopefully retire at. The noise is a problem already, like they said that they've been saying. I understand that they're working, so it's going to be loud, and I get all that. We're not going into this like listening to this and listening to the plans. It sounds wonderful if that's really the plans, but what if it's not? I know we're not here for that, but I feel it's important to say it. And I'm more concerned if we're going to have more flooding and what the plan is exactly on that creek. And widening that driveway comes right to west. I'm west of that driveway, so that's coming towards me. That's bringing everything, actually the way they're sloping that land right now, I don't know what their plan is with that barn, but everything is sloping west. So it scares me that it's just all going to keep coming down towards our house. And those are things that I definitely would like addressed before you allow this variance.
Thank you very much. Anyone else to speak against the appeal? Okay, questions from the board?
I do have a question. One of the issues that you raised related to the permitted uses, and specifically that animal husbandry is an agricultural use. Was that, who made the determination? Was that done through the zoning or the law director?
That was done through the state.
Well, I understand what the state says, but I have some questions when I read the actual code section in terms of, it seems to be the raising and care for like equine, but is this beyond that? So that's why one of the questions I have is that something that we need to have the law director evaluate further, because that's one of the questions I have.
And
I'm not convinced that that's actually, they may not need a variance from that. I don't know. And if that's the case, that's the case, but I'm still questioning that.
In 51921, it speaks of the agricultural uses.
Mm-hmm.
And horse husbandry is part of that.
Right. Does this constitute animal or horse husbandry? I understand you raise and care, but is it beyond that because you're, boarding horses or having shows or whatever it is they may be doing? We've heard testimony. That I guess that's where I'm
where's the
questioning that. I don't know whether or not whether or not we should be evaluating this beyond. I realize you're saying we should evaluate this strictly on the frontage issues, but I still have a question as it relates to the permitted use as to whether or not, I'm not saying we wouldn't permit it. It's just, I'm not convinced based upon everything that I've heard that we've evaluated that through the law director to determine whether or not that should or should not be something we should consider or not. And if that determination is made, that's fine, so. But you're telling me we didn't do that?
No, the law director hasn't come down with an opinion, no.
Okay.
And Bob, you're saying that we should table our discussion today?
I would feel more comfortable to table it to, if the law director basically says that that's the case, then I'm fine with that. I just kind of, just reading this, I'm a little, it's a little vague in terms of the way the language reads in terms of whether or not what would constitute, the business that's going to be conducted. And I'm not saying I wouldn't be in favor of a permitted use of variance if in fact the law director says that. If the law director says, no, they don't need to do that, that's fine, then we'll limit it to the frontage issue. But I would feel more comfortable tabling that to at least have the law director provide an opinion as it relates to that.
And what's the specific question that
Well, the specific question would be under 701.2A5, permitted uses. They reference animal husbandry as an agricultural use, which does define down further in the Plain Township zoning resolution and the Ohio Revised Code. But if you look at the definition and what they refer to animal husbandry, it's kind of the raising and care of equine. Well, does this go beyond that? I don't know. What if they wanted to do a rodeo back there? I don't, and that's my, can they do anything they want back there? I don't.
The way it's written from the state, you can have wedding barns, you can create cornfields with mazes, charge for people to go through. There's many uses that we have to allow. And they are businesses, but because it's agricultural, the state allows it. State allows it. And tells us that we have no no ability to stop it.
Well, I mean, they talk about, it says incident to the use for agricultural purposes. So a wedding barn's not incident to the use of agricultural purposes. So I'm not convinced that that's the case. So I guess, like I said, if it has to be incident to the use for agricultural purposes, does that meet that? If it does, great.
To have agricultural purposes prior to the wedding barn.
Okay. Well, I'd feel more comfortable if Eric would, so I would move to table this appeal pending at least confirmation that that is accurate. And again, if it is, then we will just reconvene and, obviously we can have a motion as it relates to the frontage only. If not,
I would like to second the appeal. I feel that much more eloquently than I could do so, my colleague to my immediate right has expressed my concerns very well. Thank you.
Right, we have
I just want to be fair to everyone, just so that I can make a clear determination, because that does make a difference to some extent, or maybe for some of the members of the board. So I would move to table appeal pending a decision from the law director on that issue.
And Jeff seconded.
And I seconded.
Well, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Cernova?
Yes.
Mr. Solz?
Yes.
Mr. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Sutton?
Yes.
And Mr. Pusolidis?
Yes. Okay.
So we're tabling it to the next meeting.
Yeah, next meeting's fine.
Thank you for everybody coming in. We have a meeting on October 4th.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Just note that it was unanimous. Thank you.
They can tell me, again, I'm a little bit confused. What is the activity?
Happy birthday.
Well, I think you heard, as it relates specifically to, the boarding, training of horses, conducting a business out of there. I mean, it's a little different than just raising and caring for horses. So that's what I need to, and again, it may be the case. It may not be,
Yes, sir.
what.
My dad does drainage and everything else for like his whole life.
My opinion is, do you want to get stuck in an appeal process and have things clarified? And I think that's where that would go. So, and again, I'd rather have clarification from the law that specifically says that whatever they're proposing, we don't have to go through the permitted use that you can do whatever they want in the barn. That's fine, if that's the case. There's still frontage issues. Frontage issues is pretty, that's not that big a deal. I don't. Irrespective of these people, I do think with what you're going to deal with there, I think you're better to have that issue addressed. And I personally would rather have it addressed because I'm not convinced in reading it that that's not, it's just, like I said, can you do a road